The Lee County Sheriff's Department is about to start a press conference in Dixon, Illinois on that shooting at the high school earlier this morning.
We have a crew on the scene right now. You're taking a look at one of the sheriff's deputies about to confront the media. Of course, this school resource officer involved shooting happened at about before 8:30 this morning. Looks like Dixon PD is there as well. Authorities on the scene about to address the media on what happened at Dixon High School earlier this morning. Some updates from just listening to Jessica Deditas reporting a little bit earlier this morning. The father that she talked to, James Johnson, had said that it appeared as if the Dixon seniors may have been at graduation at the time.
A graduation practice, sure.
A graduation practice inside of the gym.
And that graduation this Sunday.
Right. So that was coming up, and just a tough situation for everybody involved. But it looks like officers and authorities about to address the media now.
Good afternoon. My name is Danny Langloss. I'm the city manager for the city of Dixon. I just want to let people know before we begin that we will not be taking any questions today. We put an incredible amount of information out from the beginning to now. We're going to be giving you some more information on top of that. This is very early in the investigation. The investigation is ongoing. So please respect the fact that nobody will be taking or answering any questions. I would like to introduce to you Mayor Lee Arellano.
Thank you. My name is Mayor Leandro Arellano Jr. This morning we did have an incident. I'm going to introduce Police Chief Steve Howell in a second. I do want to stress again, as our city manager mentioned, we are absolutely committed to giving out as much information as we possibly can within legal and ethical boundaries. We want to get information to the parents, the families, the public, so they know exactly what's going on. But we do need to respect the fact that there are ongoing investigations into several of the matters. I do want to say that from the angle I'm looking at right now, a lot of things went right today when a great many of them could have gotten wrong. We have been closely working with a number of agencies that are all represented here, including the school district, several law enforcement agencies and public safety agencies. And again, things could have gone much worse. And certainly we at the city are deeply indebted to our officer and the responses and his actions took today. Things went well that may not have and have not in the past. So with that, I want to introduce for some of the details, again, as much as we can. We're not going to be taking questions due to the investigations underway, but we're going to put out as much information as we can get you. And for that, I'm going to introduce our police chief, Chief Steve Howell. Chief.
Thank you. Again, as the mayor stated, my name is Steve Howell, Chief of Dixon Police Department. I'll try to be brief. This morning, May 16, 2018, at approximately 8:06 a.m., the Dixon Police Department received a report of an armed male subject in the Dixon High School. The information was put out by our school resource officer that is assigned to that school. Dixon Police, along with the Lee County Sheriff's Department, Illinois State Police, Sterling Police Department, responded to the scene. The preliminary investigation currently shows the suspect had fired several shots near the West Gym. At that point, he was confronted by the school resource officer. When confronted, the suspect exited the school and began running westbound on Armory Drive. The school resource officer pursued the suspect. While pursuing the suspect shot several rounds towards the officer, at which time the officer returned fire and struck the suspect. Shortly thereafter, the suspect was taken into custody just west of the Dixon High School. The suspect was transported and is receiving medical attention. It is believed the injury to the suspect is non-life-threatening. At this time, the name of the suspect and the name of the officer are not being released. The officer will be placed on paid administrative leave per policy. The FBI, as well as the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, responded and assisted local law enforcement as well. The Dixon High School and all Dixon public schools initially were placed on lockdown. Currently, the Dixon High School remains the only school on lockdown. Due to the quick response of the Dixon High School school resource officer, as well as all assisting agencies, there were no injuries to staff, students, or any other community members. Furthermore, the Dixon Police Department, along with assistant agencies, believe there's no further threat to the safety of the students, staff, or community. The investigation is ongoing, and we are confident that the suspect acted alone. The suspect is a 19-year-old male and was previously a student at the Dixon High School. We would also like to add that the students and staff responded to the situation extremely well. The district has been receiving ongoing training from the Dixon Police Department how to respond to these situations. While removing students from the various classrooms, responding officers found the staff, students had barricaded the doors to the classrooms with desks, bookcases, and other objects per the training that they had been received. I could not be more proud of the police officer and the way he responded to the situation. With shots ringing out through the hallways of the school, he charged toward the suspect and confronted him head on. Because of his heroic actions, countless lives were saved. We are forever indebted to him for his service and his bravery. Currently, all the students have been reunited with their family as well. I have no further statement this time. At this time, I'd like to introduce Lee County Sheriff John Symington.
Thanks, Chief, and good morning, everybody. Chief made some very concise comments on what happened today, and I want to emphasize two things. I'm not going to talk about the investigation, but I'm going to talk about the response and training today. I've had an opportunity to train several agencies and train in several schools over my career, and today, the bottom line is they were prepared. And when I talk about active shooter or intruder type training, I always lead that training off by saying, I hope this never happens. However, we have to be prepared because it could happen here. It doesn't matter how large or small your community is, as we found out today. But I want to re-emphasize the heroic actions of the school resource officer. He's our officer. Not part of the Lee County Sheriff's Department, but yes, he's our officer because in Lee County we're one law enforcement agency, and I couldn't be more proud of his efforts today. He saved an enormous amount of lives in this school today. In addition to that, we need to take a look at what happened at the school because we do teach the students and faculty how to respond to these type of events. And from what I've been told from the officers that went inside to search the school and then evacuate the students and the faculty that were left in there, they did exactly what we asked them to do during the training. I couldn't be more proud of them. And since then, as this incident is ongoing, the relationship we have built with the school officials and the law enforcement, the first responders from the fire department as well, and EMS, it's been a great coordinated effort between everyone. And I cannot tell you that in an incident like this, how critical that is. And to be able to think swiftly on your feet during an incident is just amazing to me. I couldn't be more proud of everybody that was involved in this. It's certainly a horrific event that took place today. However, it could have been a lot worse. And because of the efforts of the school resource officer and the school themselves and the way they responded, it ended up like it did. So thank you very much. I'm now going to introduce our Lee County State's Attorney, Matt Klon.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Whenever an event happens like this, first step is to make sure that everyone is safe and secure. And thank God that the students of Dixon High School, our children, were safe today. And God bless their parents and their families and them. I hope that they take comfort in knowing that their school and their law enforcement were effective in protecting them. Our next step is, of course, to have a fair and thorough investigation, and after that, a potential fair and thorough prosecution. While we can't share any details right now, that is exactly what's going to happen in this case. I think the city of Dixon, Dixon schools, and Lee County have a lot to be proud of today, and I can't say enough about the schools and the law enforcement response. I would now like to introduce Margot Empen, the Dixon School Superintendent.
On behalf of Dixon Public Schools, the Dixon Public School family, we just wanted to take a moment and thank our local law enforcement for the training that has been ongoing to all of our schools. And as a result, as they said, things went very well today because of that training. We want to thank our school resource officer, who we feel very blessed to have in 2 of our schools and was a major factor in everything going well today. I also want to thank the staff, the students, and our parents who showed bravery. And when we were in the process of making sure that reunification was happening, our parents did an outstanding job at remaining calm and working with us to make sure that students could be reunited with their families in an expedient manner. So we are thankful for our law enforcement and everyone who did a great job today.
That is going to conclude our press briefing. As I mentioned, there are investigations underway, so we're not going to take questions at this time. If you have additional questions or follow-ups, please direct them to the police chief or to the city manager's office. What I can promise is as soon as we can get more information to you, we will do that. But obviously there's legal and ethical things that we have to follow over the course of the investigations. Again, there won't be any questions, but please, if you have follow-ups, direct them to the city manager or the police chief. Thank you.
You're looking and listening live at a press conference that's taking place in Dixon, Illinois right now regarding that high school shooting that happened just this morning. We just want to recap what took place during this press conference. It lasted about 10 minutes or so. The mayor first coming out and saying a lot of things went right today when it could have gone very, very wrong. And how true is that?
Right, and some of the interesting things that Steve Howell, the police chief for the city of Dixon, just wrapped up and gave us some new information on. The 19-year-old who we had now confirmed was the person that fired shots inside of the school, fired several of them near the West Gym, and then a chase ensued afterwards, which is something we didn't know. And the officer returned fire. Once again, Mark Dallas is his name.
Yeah, the school resource officer there, he confronted him, as the police chief said, head on and chased him.
Yeah, so John Simonton, the Lee County, Illinois sheriff, also weighing in with his comments there, but a community shaken by something today, but it could have been a whole heck of a lot worse.
The police chief talked about how they've been training for this. They've trained their police department, they've trained the students and the school district, and because of that officer's heroic actions, quote, countless lives were saved this morning. We are finding out that the suspect, 19-year-old former student at the high school, and we have been saying before that it sounded like that this happened in the gymnasium when students were practicing for their upcoming graduation ceremony.
Yeah. So that has been now confirmed according to what was talked about by Steve Howell, the police chief.
No names have been released at this time of the officer or the suspect. The officer is now being put on paid administrative leave, which is per protocol, of course. The only school on lockdown right now is still the high school. All the other schools in the Dixon Community School District are back open. So the important thing here, of course, no injuries for anyone but the suspect. The suspect did get non-life-threatening injuries. He's in the hospital. No further threat to the safety of the people in Dixon right now.
So good news there. Of course, we'll continue to follow this. We have more information. That press conference just live streamed as well on our website at WQAD.com, of course, on our Facebook page as well. We'll have continuing coverage as we continue News 8 at 11. We're going to go to break and have more coming up in the second half hour, some of our national headlines today.